So for the first series of workouts, we're going to do a 5-minute AMRAP across 6 stations. AMRAP is as many rounds as possible. You're going to set a 5-minute timer and cycle back and forth between the 2 workouts, hitting those reps and moving back and forth. For the bodyweight squat, we're going to make sure feet are flat on the ground. Knees and feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. We're aiming to keep the chest up nice and proud as we drop down low. As we drop, we're going to make sure that the heels stay down on the ground and we're pushing through to come back up. Option here for adding weight. We can front load the weight at shoulders if you have dumbbells or a plate available, going through the same movement. If you only have one, feel free to rack the one hamburger style at chest height. And again, going through that movement, really focusing on driving up through those heels, getting as low as possible, keeping that chest upright. Okay, so for our monster walk, we're gonna do 10 steps out and 10 steps back. This is about purposeful motion. We're gonna start in that same nice low squat. You can bring your hands up front to kind of ensure you keep that chest up forward. From here, we're swinging out and forward. And we're gonna keep ourselves nice and low. Purposeful movement to come out. Once we do 10 out, we're swinging to come 10 back. The option here, if you have it at home, is to add a resistance band. You're gonna place it just above knee level on the thighs, coming into that nice and low, big, purposeful steps, staying in that low squat as you go through the walk. I'm in the starting position for a dead bug, so we're gonna have our knees at 90 above the hips, arms are extended, right in line with our shoulders. From this motion in one fluid, we're gonna go left leg extended, right arm overhead, returning them back, switching to the other side. This is about engaging that core, having good control over our movements. Option here, if they're available, is to throw those dumbbells into your hands and go through the same cycle on your left and your right side. Okay, so for our forearm hip dips, we're gonna start in a forearm plank. So from elbow to wrist is going to be along the ground. We're gonna ensure that we engage the core and keep those hips up. Everything should be nice and aligned. Don't let yourself tend or sag. Once you've got that control, you're gonna push through the heels and controlled and slowly rock the hips from side to side. So we would have 1 and then 2 as we go the other way. If you don't feel comfortable starting with this motion, you're gonna drop to the knees where they are, keeping that good angle. And as you get more comfortable with the movement, that's where we can start the hip dip. We're gonna begin starting straight up. We're gonna walk ourselves back into a reverse lunge. Control, we're not gonna slam that knee into the ground, but we're gonna try and get as close as possible. From here, we're stepping up, driving that knee to chest level, switching sides, dropping into that reverse lunge, and driving forward. Option here again, if you have the dumbbells, we can place it at either side, about hip level to start, going into that reverse lunge, powering forward, just adding a little bit of weight if you need that challenge. Okay, for our glute bridge, we're gonna have the knees bent, feet are flat on the ground. You wanna walk them in and get them as close to your glutes as possible. Back is flat to start, place your hands at your side. From here, we're going to drive the hips up. You should feel your back leaving the ground. Keep those shoulders flat. When you get to this top position, we're really focusing on squeezing the glutes, slow and controlled lower. So again, power as we drive the hips up and squeeze the glute, and then lower back down. Don't be afraid to take your time on this exercise to really engage the muscles. Again, be purposeful in your movements. If you have the option, add a dumbbell or a weight at the hips and hold for that extra challenge. All right, lots of options for our push-up. Let's start with just our traditional push-up where we're gonna have hands flat on the ground, arms shoulder width apart. Make sure again, just like when we set up for our plank, that your body's nice and aligned. From here, we're dropping, pushing those elbows out to about 90 degrees where your elbows are in line with your shoulders, back and forth. Now, some variations that we can take here. We can go a little bit wider than shoulder width. Wide push-up can be a little bit easier. We can come in close or even a diamond grip and work the triceps. We also have the option to drop to the knees. The important thing here, we're gonna keep our body in that nice slope and then complete our push-up with that modification. We're not looking to hunch ourselves up. and change what muscles we're working. We want to keep a nice, long, lean body and still work the same muscles. If getting down to the floor is not in your comfort zone, we can find a tabletop, a bench, a chair. Same thing, we're gonna place the hands, get into that nice angle, and work the biceps and our pec muscles in that push-up motion. All right, just as the name implies, our swimmer is gonna look very similar to when you're swimming in a pool, but it's gonna incorporate some core strength and use the arms. We're gonna start on the ground, lifting our chest and our feet off and keeping them there. That's where our core engagement comes in. One arm overhead, palm down, one hand down at our side, palm up. All we're doing here is going through that swimming motion, slow and controlled. So we're gonna pull back, switch our grip, pull back, switch our grip as we bring the other forward. So we would have 1, 2 as we go through our reps. If you have dumbbells, so try to go lighter here. You can even use something like a can of soup. We're just gonna add that weight, but we're gonna make sure we keep our chest and our feet off the ground as we go through the movement. All right, for mountain climbers, very similar to our push-up position. Hands are flat on the floor. We're aiming to have shoulders aligned with the wrist. Coming up to the toes, keeping that alignment along our other joints. From this position, we're driving the knee up to the chest. This is a good starting point. If you're new at this movement, the more comfort that you get, we're gonna aim to get into a rhythm and quickly volley between the 2 feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for our reps, keeping that core engaged, keeping our body aligned as we go through the motion. Option here, again, if you're not comfortable on the floor, can be to use a chair, the tabletop, side of the couch. Again, focusing on that knee drive, engaging the core. You could even come up to a wall if you need to. The key thing is the power of driving those knees. Finding that angle, the more that you position your feet further from the wall, the more we're getting into that mountain climber exercise. All right, for our fire hydrants, we're gonna have shoulders above wrists, hips above knees. Coming into our tabletop position, we're gonna stay on one side at a time. As we go through this motion, we're going to take our left leg, bring it up to knee height, squeezing that glute again, slow and controlled. As we come back down, don't bring your knee to the ground. As we go through the 10 reps on one side, we're gonna keep that knee up and active. Things to watch out for as you lift, don't allow yourself to tip. We really shouldn't see motion anywhere else in the body. We're gonna engage those muscles, keep everything tight so that we're really just focusing on that motion to lift the leg with the hip. If you're feeling other things swing, take a moment, think about what's moving, engage those muscles. Option here, if you have the resistance band, is to place it, same location as earlier, above the knee joint on your thigh. Come back into your tabletop. That resistance band is now gonna provide a little bit of an extra challenge here. Or you also have the option, if you have those lighter dumbbells, you can place it in the crook of your knee. You don't have to have both. But you can use that dumbbell, squeeze, and add some weight as you go through your fire hydrant. 10 on one side, then we're gonna switch and do 10 on the other. All right, I'm gonna use a hex on the ground so everybody can see the way I'm moving. You can use a seam on the floor, you can pick a spot, you don't have to have specific equipment. With this, we're gonna start straight up. We're keeping that chest upright, shoulders back. We're going to go quick feet, 1, 2, driving that left, right, left, right. Good agility, get a little cardio in. Don't be afraid to get those arms working, pocket to socket, and get into that motion. We're going 1, 2 for our rep count. So for the sprinter sit-up, you're gonna start on your back. The arms are gonna be bent, bringing your hands to your ears. We're not going to grab onto our head and pulling our head and neck here. It's just belt positioning. From this position, we're going into our normal sit-up, but we're gonna drive the knee to the chest, bringing that opposite elbow. Control going back to our starting position, powering through and driving to the opposite side, moving back and forth, 1 rep at a time. If you'd like a challenge here, bring the feet up about 6 inches off the ground, go through the same motions, and don't let those feet return. You will definitely feel the difference when you make that modification if you'd like the extra challenge.